What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Les Alex here, and today I am going to be playing some Grixis Control. Now, with the shakeup with Luris being banned, I thought, why not try a fun deck? A deck that when I went to look up videos for, when I was actually wanting to figure out what I wanted to play, and I got a seed in my head that it was going to be Grixis, there aren't many Grixis Control decks on YouTube that are very recent. So I thought, hey, well, maybe, they just spoiled the new Grixis Triome land, or whatever you want to call it. They just showed that off for New Capenna, so maybe people will be looking for Grixis builds to build on moving forward. So I wanted to get this video out there and show you fine folks. This is just a deck, though, that is for fun. I'm not saying that this is going to be a world beater and be the next, top tier deck in the format. Of course, we got Azorius Control, Wafatapa, keeping it on lockdown there. But this is a deck that I know a lot of people really, really enjoy. And with New Capenna coming out, we're getting that Grixis Triome. I definitely wanted to explore it. So with all that being said, I want to show you guys this deck list, and I definitely want to show you this gameplay. This is going to be one of those short, quick videos. I just show you a game, explain the deck list, explain why I pick certain cards over others. But with all that stuff out of the way, oh wait, I guess I should tell you to like this video and subscribe for more content like this, because it really does help out the channel. And of course, hit that bell notification. That way YouTube actually tells you, because otherwise they just simply will not tell you that I posted a new video. If you want to talk to me outside of here, hit me up on Twitter. I'm always tweeting about Control and about Control things. So at Les Alex over there. And I stream weekly over on twitch.tv/Les Alex. So check me out over there as well. Okay, with all that stuff out of the way, let's jump into this deck tech. Alrighty, so here is Grixis Control. We're playing 24 lands. Kind of slim on lands for a control deck, but let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, what you guys think about this list. Let's go through the cards, though, as you can see. Let's start with the fun ones over here on the right first. Nicol Bolas, Dragon God. This is the whole reason I wanted to play Grixis, to be honest. So it's blue, triple black, red, and it has a passive ability that says it gains all other planeswalkers you control. It gains their abilities. If you're not very familiar with this, +1, you draw a card. Each other opponent exiles a card from their hand or permanent they control. So pretty sick. +1. -3, destroy target creature or planeswalker. Very powerful, obviously. And then -8, each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker who loses the game. So obviously, this is our main way to win the game. You want to just resolve this late in the game, protect it, and usually they scoop to it. Usually they do scoop to it, but if you get to ult it, which I haven't got to do yet. I want to do it, but I haven't got to do it yet. If you ult it, obviously you just win the game. Then we have 2 Jason Mind Sculptor. This card in blue-white control, I'm iffy on. I think maybe you can keep it as a one of, but because it combos, quote-unquote, so well, it pairs so well with Nicol Bolas, you get to brainstorm, you get to uptick and just fate seal them over and over again. You can do it twice whenever they're both on the field, so you can target yourself, gaining loyalty. It's very, very awesome. Next up in the 3-drop slot, we have Narset, Parter of Veils as a 2 of. This card, not seeing much play in Azorius, but I definitely wanted to play it because, again, it pairs extremely well with Bolas. The fact that you can uptick and gain some of that loyalty back with Bolas, with Narset's negative, very, very crucial. Then we have 4 Archmage's Charms. This is like the best card in any control deck in Modern right now. Very, very, I think you got to lock it in as a 4 of with basically any blue-based control deck right now. Next up, we have Prismari Command, and I posted the list on Twitter, which you guys should go follow me. Folks asked, why not Kolaghan's Command? Well, we have Kolaghan's Command in the sideboard, but honestly, making a treasure token is pretty relevant. The mana base, if you guys have ever played Grixis ever in Modern, the mana base is pretty atrocious, and same could be true for my mana base here. I probably could make it a little bit better, but as it is, it's pretty atrocious. So making those treasure tokens very good. It also does pretty much the same thing as Culligan's Command. You can destroy an artifact and deal 2 damage. That's obviously the same thing that Culligan's Command. Only difference being draw 2, discard 2. You know, looting's pretty good. Getting yourself out of tight spots is pretty good. Prismatic Command, I've liked it so far. I've liked it. I would consider, you know, just having the 4 full Culligan's Commands in this deck, just having 4 between the sideboard and main board. But honestly, Prismatic Command's been pretty good in the several matches that I've played thus far. Next up, Snapcaster Mage. As a 4 of, we want to flash back all of our 1-drops and drown in the locks and counter spells and thought seizes and things. I love Snapcaster Mage, is one of my favorite cards. I'm happy that it's finally seeing play, not only in Azorius, but I had to play it here in this Grixis control deck as well. Next up, we have 4 counter spells. This is the gold standard for counter spells basically in Magic, but definitely in Modern. Next up, Drown and Lock, so versatile. Drown and Lock, oh, Chef's Kiss. Chef's Kiss, friends. This card is great. It being able to counter and destroy creatures is excellent. It's a Doomblade and a counterspell all in one card. It's so good. Next up, we have Expressive Iteration. Now, you can't play blue and red in older formats and not play this, right? I'm playing 3. Honestly, again, this is a first rough draft. If you guys want me to iterate on this and make more videos about this, or want me to stream, like the heck out of this video. Let me know in the comments section below that you enjoyed this video, and I will definitely keep working on this list if you guys enjoy it. And yeah, Expressive Iteration, just, I mean, it's so good. Played on turn 3, you get a land and a spell off of it. You know, at first look, you might think this is only an Anticipate, but it's so much better than Anticipate. You guys already know that. Next up, we got 2 Clean to Dust. I've liked Clean to Dust. I don't know if 2 main deck is correct. I might want to shave a Clean to Dust and add the 4th Expressive Iteration, potentially. But it's still very good. Obviously, against any deck using Graveyard Shenanigans, we want to be able to have some main deck way to interact with them, and Clean to Dust is definitely a good way to do that. Next up, 2 Fatal Push. I didn't want to go crazy on Fatal Push because we have Drown in the Locks, and we have Prismari commands, and just plenty of ways to get rid of early game creatures. So I didn't want to go crazy on Fatal Push. Next up, 3 Inquisition of Kozilek's and 2 Thought Seizes. 3-2 split is just kind of what when I was building the deck and trying to build the 75 for this deck, that's just what I saw across the board for most Grixis decks. So I just pretty much copied what others were doing, including like Grixis Shadow. So that's why those numbers are the way they are. Moving on to the lands, got 2 Castle Vantris. Now, a funny thing that I did was I accidentally ordered the wrong castle from Card Hoarder when I went to get this deck. I got Castle Ardenvale, so the white one. Obviously, that's pretty useless, but I obviously corrected it since, and I mean, Castle Vantris is just pretty solid card. Drown Catacomb ×2, Hall of Storm Giants. This is a way you can win the game pretty quickly in your blue-based control decks. I mean, 7/7 Ward 3, pretty decent. We've got 2 islands, 1 Ottawara, Soaring City. This card's great. Now, obviously, this deck doesn't struggle nearly as much as Azorius does with dealing with Planeswalkers, because we do have things like Thoughtseize and Inquisition, and even, I mean, Snapcaster Mage can attack. And obviously, Nicol Bolas can just straight up snipe a Planeswalker that happens to resolve. But Ottawara is still great at bouncing them, and then hopefully you can counter them on the way down. Next up, 4 Polluted Deltas. Then we got 3 Scalding Tarns, 3 Steam Vents, 1 Sulfur Falls, 4 Watery Graves to round out the mana base, and that is the 60. Let's take a look at the sideboard. Again, this is a rough shot first draft of the deck, so don't kill me in the comments too hard. Engineered Explosives. This was basically just an answer for all those pesky aggro decks and any deck that wants to kill us before turn 4. Next up, we have Emrakul. Now, the thought process here is still that Mill is a deck that you have to be concerned with, so that's where we get the Emrakul. Next up, Relic of Progenitus. I mean, this deck, outside of putting in Leyline of the Voids would have been pretty difficult to deal with cards in graveyards, like graveyard shenanigans. So Relic ×3 I think is pretty sufficient. And yeah, I mean, it's just pretty good against graveyard decks. Next up, Kolaghan's Command. Very good against burn, obviously. Very good against any deck that wants to kill our Snapcasters. Being able to rebuy Snapcasters is excellent. And then in this slot here, we've got Damnation against go wide decks. And then we've got Murderous Cut against creature decks. You pretty much always bring that in against creatures decks. And then we've got Spell Pierce. Just a good catch-all for any other control decks or decks that are trying to do, nefarious things, combo out on us. We don't like that. And then we got Mystical Dispute as a 2-of. And then we got Summary Dismissal for Amulet and for Storm if that's a deck. But Summary Dismissal is another card that Wafatapa explained, and I'm a believer, so I dig it, and I like it. So that's the list. Let's play a game of Magic. Again, this game is against Hammer Time, so I hope you guys do enjoy this one, and let's get in these games. Alrighty, here in game number 1, they were on the play. We've already driven. Alright, here in game number 1, they were on the play. They played Inkmoth into Springleaf Drum, and we've already drawn our card for turn number 1. Our hand is pretty solid, though. Our opener was Archmage Charm, Island, Catacomb, Inquisition, Drowned in the Lock, Sulphur Falls, and Expressive Iteration. We could cast all these spells, and they were all cheap, so I kept the hand. And then we draw into Nicol Bolas, so we play Island and just pass back. They play Windswept Heath, crack, get a Plains, and cast Sigarda's Aid and pass back. So we know what we're up against. We Inquisition. We'll pause here. Let's pause here. So we Inquisition them, and we see a hand of Stoneforge Mystic, Colossus Hammer, Urza's Saga. I accidentally, unfortunately, took Stoneforge Mystic. Do you know why that's so unfortunate? They play Urza's Saga, they activate, they cast Colossus Hammer, of course it automatically equips, and then they kill us for 11 infect. Yeah, don't do that. That was just a brain fart on mine. I just got locked in, and that happens. I just got locked in on the Stoneforge Mystic, not thinking, oh, I'm going to die next turn, and I certainly did. They take game number 1 just like that. What a brain fart. On to game 2. Alrighty, game number 2. Let's pause. We take an opening hand of Expressive Iteration, Archmage's Charm, Murderous Cut, Engineered Explosives, and Drown in the Lock. We will definitely keep that. Now, we are missing red, and we have no prospects of getting it. Well, there's our fetch land. We go ahead and play Engineered Explosives on turn 1. They, of course, have Urza's Saga, and play it out and pass. We play Delta and pass back. They play Coast and pass back. We crack our fetch, and then into turn, we cast Archmage's Charm, and we drew. Let's pause here. It's getting a little quicker for me. We get Kolaghan's Command and another EE. We end up getting Prismari Command on our draw step, and then they go ahead and make a token. In their turn, they make another token, so they've got some beefy boys. They go and get a Mimnite from their Urza Saga. They play a second Urza Saga, attack for 3. We crack, and then we Murderous Cut one of the constructs. We play a second EE. They go ahead and attack. We Kolaghan's Command. So Kolaghan's Command and Prismari Command are insane against this deck. So we destroyed the token, and we dealt 2 damage to the Mimnite. They make another construct. Or on their turn, they make another construct. Go ahead and cast Reality Chip. We go ahead and counter it with Drown in the Lock. They attack for 3. We cracked Engineered Explosives on 0, which actually blew up our other Engineered Explosive. Huge misplay for me. Wasn't thinking at the time. Go ahead and roast me in the comments. I don't care. I deserve it. But so they still have Sigarda's Aid, which probably makes this match go on a lot longer than it probably needed to. They play Ornithopter, activate Inkmoth, go for Hammer. We, of course, do have Archmage's Charm. They go ahead for a second one. Sure, this time we're going to do Prismari Command. As they attack, they think they got the win. We go ahead and blow up. We dealt 2 damage to the Inkmoth and blew up the hammer. So then we just pass turn after we draw Drown in the Lock. They cast Pure Steel. We do Drown in the Locket because we don't want that shenanigans happening. They have another one, though. Into turn. Of course, naturally, we draw a counterspell right after they play a spell that's relevant. They fire up and attack us for 1 infect and 2 damage. We draw Snapcaster Mage. Perfect. They attack. We go ahead and I believe we cast Snapcaster Mage, targeting Kolaghan's command, kill the artifact. We'll pause. We killed the artifact and killed Pure Steel. So then we Inquisition them. They revealed a hand of Sigarda's Aid and Ornithopter. I took the Ornithopter because it can potentially start dealing us damage, and having double Sigarda's Aid isn't so great. We draw Counterspell and attack for 2 with our Snapcaster. We pass, they play the Sigarda's Aid, and they cast Esper Sentinel. We counter that as quick as possible. And then EOT, we bounce the Snapcaster Mage back to our hand with the Otawara. We draw a Watery Grave, and then they cast Stoneforge Mystic, which they knew about our Snapcaster Mage. They go ahead and scoop because they knew it was getting countered. We survived after we blew up our own engineered explosives. So, again, misplays happen. Everybody makes them. I'm a big old goober. What can I say? On to game 3. All right, game number 3, and our hand is looking pretty good for this matchup. We've got Scalding Tarn, Hall of Storm Giant, Snapcaster Mage, Archmage's Charm ×2, Fatal Push, and Murderous Cut. Now, unfortunate thing about our hand, we do have our fetch land to go get our red source, but unfortunately, as you can see, though, because of the configuration of our hand, we have 2 very relevant black spells. We, at this point, have to go get a black source. Let's see, can we draw a black source? They go ahead and dump their hand of Esper Sentinel Ornithopters. So yes, unfortunately, but we did draw a Damnation, which is going to be pretty good if we can keep hitting our land drops. They go ahead and barf their hand again of Shadow Spear and Paradise Mantle. We get a Watery Grave and go ahead and just kill their Esper Sentinel. Draw Snapcaster Mage, play our Hall of Storm Giants. They cast Esper Sentinel and Shadow Spear it up. They cast Memnite, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I can just draw lands, which, yes, we drew a Sulfur Falls, but we need a black source. If we can draw that black source, I think we're in a very dominant position, because at this point, they only have 1 card in hand. They crack their Marsh Flats. They then attack with Esper Sentinel, and we will very clearly block there. And then they play Pure Steel and move that to there, and as we're doing that, into turn, we go ahead and cast Archmage's Charm, drawing 2 Watery Graves, and then on our draw step, we drew Inquisition, and on their turn, they ended up casting Pure Steel and moved their Shadow Spear to their Ornithopter. Alrighty, so on our turn, we play Watery Grave, take 2 life, Damnation, bye-bye all creatures. They then fire up Inkmoth Nexus and attack us. We just pass turn back. They connect with it. Then they go ahead to try and activate. We Murderous Cut it. Then they Ornithopter, pass back. We find Expressive Iteration. I draw that. Prismari Command. Play Otawara down. They then have Nettle Cyst. We counterspell it because that is terrifying. They just pass back. We draw Drown in the Lock, pass back. They go ahead and equip and attack. We Prismari Command, and we just blow up the Shadow Spear and draw 2, discard 2, and then pass back. They Springleaf Drum and pass back. We then Snapcaster Mage, go to Prismari Command, and we were going to destroy this and destroy Paradise Mantle. It didn't matter. They scooped it up. We get the W, and that will do it. That is all she wrote for this match. Alright, so there you have it. There is Grixis Control versus Hammer Time. Now, I know you guys probably want to see more. You guys can catch me over on twitch.tv/LesAlex. I do want to play this deck some more. I really enjoy it, and it absolutely dismantled the Hammer Time deck. And believe it or not, Hammer Time is still a deck that you'll run into in leagues and things. So, you know, even though Luris is gone, Hammer Time is still a deck. Let me know what you thought about the deck. What are some tweaks that you would make? What do you think about my mana base? It's pretty sketch, I know, running so few red sources, but you really, really do need all those black sources whenever you're playing in the early game to survive. So let me know, though, what your thoughts, concerns are. Hit me up on Twitter at LesAlex, and of course, like I said, on twitch.tv/LesAlex. I stream over there weekly. I appreciate you. Oh, before we go, check out the lotuscards.com. Save yourself 5% on your purchase. They sell Magic the Gathering cards, Flesh and Blood, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, you name it. They have it over there. The lotuscards.com. Use coupon code LesAlex. Save yourself 5%. Helps out the channel. Make sure if you enjoyed the video, though, to smash that like button and subscribe for more. Hit the bell icon so, YouTube actually tells you that my videos exist. And until next time, I appreciate you. Have a good one. Adios.